Alrighty, folks. Good evening, everyone. Meteorologist Michael Wilhite here with Southern Indiana Weather, bringing you the latest long-range update. Sponsored tonight by Metal Magic in Washington. Give Chad a call at 698-8555 for all of your paintless dent repair needs, and of course, be sure to tell them Southern Indiana Weather sent you. All right, let's talk about tonight, folks. I do think that winter is going to try to make a comeback a little bit later on in the month, but we've got some, well, at least somewhat mild temperatures on the way before we get there. Of course, today we were stuck in the 30s over most of the area. A few lucky spots hit a jackpot of 40 to 42 degrees, but not a whole lot of us. Stayed pretty cloudy a good portion of the day. We saw some clearing, partially at least during the afternoon hours, and things had cleared out pretty good now. So it's nice to see the sunshine again, sort of a stranger to us over the past few days. Now we're going to be in quite of a quiet period here coming up. Let's go ahead and put the GFS into motion. And really for the next few days, we're going to be sort of dealing with some sun and clouds mixed around the area, but we don't really have any rain to start worrying about until next week. Here's by the time Monday evening rolls around, and of course the GFS is starting to bring us good chance of rain really on Monday and Tuesday next week. Not a huge system to worry about, but a little bit of rain shower activity. With that, you can see that the cold air does start to crash in according to the GFS behind it, but by the time the cold air would get here to change anything over to snow showers, likely most of that moisture would be gone. So possibly some flurries next Wednesday or so, maybe on the backside of the system, but that's pretty iffy at this point, and it certainly wouldn't be anything that would be disruptive. As we continue to put it into motion, we get a little bit of a break again, but then you see a pretty big system starting to move in here by the time we get to around Saturday the 20th. Friday the 19th, Saturday the 20th, right around in that time frame, we get a pretty decent sized storm system moving in. Now, here is where the first model disagreement comes in. The GFS, as you see, keeps this on the warm side. Well, you say, how, Michael, do you know that this is on the warm side? Again, first blue line here is what we call the 540 thickness line. The 540 thickness line is typically what we see as the rain-snow changeover line. So, again, this would be in the warm sector. This would be just a nice, cold rain for us according to the GFS, but the GFS of course isn't the only model out there. If you believe the European model, as I put this into motion and get it back to where we should be here, watch how this happens. Here we are for early in the morning on Saturday morning, Friday night into Saturday morning. Notice how much closer that blue line comes to us. That blue line is through us for almost the duration of the event, and here we are late on Saturday night, and you've got really a decent snowstorm over us. Now, how much would I buy into this just yet? Not a whole lot. Enough that I'm going to mention a rain-snow mix, rain or snow possible in my forecast. But right now, we just can't fine-tune the details to say, I'm pretty confident it's going to be rain or I'm pretty confident it's going to be snow. We have mixed signals on this. The GFS keeps us in the warm side of that sector and gives us rain, as you can see. Again, there that blue line is far to the north of us, whereas the Euro model here, well, you can see that blue line far to the south of us would give us some pretty hefty snow totals. In fact, some decent snow totals out of it. You can see on the order of multiple inches across the area. So now, don't take this to the bank right now and say this is absolutely going to happen, because really the best thing that we could sort of do with this right now is just put a giant question mark on it right now, because the reality is we don't know. Could this happen? Could this not happen? Way too early to fine-tune those details. And here's another one of those reasons why, because I've showed you now the GFS has a pretty decent, the Euro has a really decent accumulating snow event. Look what the Canadian does. It disagrees with both of them and has absolutely nothing over us and suppresses the system far to the south. So right now the models could not be farther apart in all three of them. The GFS burns us our temperatures and gives us cold rain. It sort of puts the blowtorch to the freezing line, and we end up with a rain. The Euro brings that freezing line over us and we get snow. The Canadian says, nah, it stays to the south and you don't even get anything. Well, who do you believe? Right now, I don't believe any of them, and we're going to have to fine-tune those details as time goes on. And here's some other reasons why. They're not the only models that we can look at. We can take a look at the Canadian ensembles, and you can see the Canadian ensembles pretty much in agreement with its operational model here. The ensembles, by the way, is sort of like the operational model. The operational model is just one model. The ensemble is basically taking that operational model and tweaking it with just a few different initial conditions to simulate different changes in the atmosphere, understanding that we don't always have a perfect simulation of the atmosphere, even whenever we start. And those ensembles, they run multiple members of those, and they come up with an average. Sort of helps to forecast out some of the errors. That's the idea behind an ensemble model. Well, it's pretty much agreeing and saying high pressure for us around the 20th. Now take a look at this. The Euro ensembles is not supporting the snow idea that the operational Euro is. And what it's saying is, yes, we've got a pretty decent low pressure here, and what I've got this is you've got your 500 millibar heights on here. The 540 line is way up here in Canada, and this is a pretty, this is probably in the 40s. This would be a support towards to what the GFS said for rain. On the other hand, you've got the new GFS upgrade, the 13-kilometer GFS, the parallel GFS, whichever one you want to call it, and it gives us sort of a rain. And notice that by the time that cold air filters in, and it does have the cold air filtering in, but not until basically the precipitation is gone, and so we wouldn't have a chance of really any snow accumulation according to the parallel GFS. It's all gone before that cold air filters in. So again, multiple models to show you for this event, and all of them saying something different. So my confidence in the 20th is very low right now, about as low as it can get. I'm putting into my forecast is saying that there's going to be a chance of rain or snow, and that's about the best I can do right now, folks. It does look like a pretty sizable system, with the exception of the Canadian model, but the Canadian is the outlier saying nothing for us. Everything else sees it. So I'm throwing out the Canadian right now as far as I'm concerned. But what I can say is I think there will be a decent-sized storm system in that area around the 19th or 20th, but we're going to have to fine-tune those details. Now, beyond that, the GFS actually is showing, thinking that we could get a few more things to work with. So let me take you here. Let's see. Let me get back here to where we go here. So here's that storm system for the 20th. You can see that moves off, and we start to go down into a cooler pattern. As you know, as you see, these lines are behind us, and we actually get a little bit of sort of some upper level and some back activity going on here. So the GFS would actually give us some light snow showers on the back side of that system. And as another sort of front moves through here, you might end up with a little bit of snow showers on that, but it quickly warms us up just a little bit back into the 40s. Notice you've got by the 25th here, by Christmas Day, you've got another system diving down towards us. Now, some of the previous runs of the GFS actually had us at a white Christmas on this. Again, folks, this is way too far away, and expect these models to change dozens of times in the coming days. And you can see right now it actually does give us a little bit of snow out of this, but it doesn't start to snow here until around the 26th or so. So there's still the possibility of some snow, but the model is pushing that off a little bit, and you can see it snows around the area for another day or so. Even on the 27th here, it's still snowing. So multiple shots of some wintry weather coming up for us. We got a system to deal with right around the 20th, and then another system to deal with potentially the 22nd or 23rd, as another little system dives in down in here. And folks, that's what you saw on the back side of this in the GFS, where it was sort of, here's that big system on the 20th. As it pushes out, you've got another system that sort of starts to dive down and could give us something. This run of the GFS is actually taking it a little bit more to the north. Some of the other runs were taking it a little bit to the south. So again, that's some of the things that we're just going to have to watch. So right now, here's kind of what's on my radar screen. I've got a system right on the 20th that I'm going to watching, and then I'm going to watch the 22nd, 23rd time frame. And then we're going to watch the Christmas day after Christmas time frame. So that's sort of the three systems that I'm going to be watching over the coming days. And again, are they going to be rain or are they going to be snow? Time will tell, but we'll have to fine-tune those details as time goes. Now, let's talk about whether we've got any support from the atmosphere towards this end. Let me go back up here. Let's talk about our indices real quick. Arctic oscillation is not really giving us much help. You need a negative Arctic oscillation to get sustained long-term cold air. You want that long-term cold air in here if you want a snowstorm. You got to have that support from the cold air. Although I will say that sometimes the transitional phases where you're going from neutral down to just a little bit negative can be a very good time for some sort of a system to move in. I've seen that many times before. But what you notice here, according to the Euro, is really that we stay neutral and positive most of the time on the Arctic oscillation. GFS keeps us firmly positive for the majority of it, and the GFS upgrade starts to dip down just slightly negative here right around the time of the 20th, so that could give us some potential support there for some things. But again, we just we'll have to watch that and see. But I don't see a firmly and strongly negative and sustained negative Arctic oscillation for us. That may come more in January, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen right now from the way the modeling is indicating. North Atlantic oscillation, we really want this negative if we want a big snowstorm, all right? Because a negative Arctic oscillation, negative North Atlantic oscillation, negative NAO, shuts down the North Atlantic and says, nope, it's closed for business. That slows down storm systems, sort of forces them to go slowly up the east coast, and that also helps the Arctic oscillation to go negative and sustain that cold air for us and give us those storms. But what we see here, folks, is positive. It's positive through the duration on the Euro. It's positive through the duration on the GFS. It's positive for the duration here on the GFS upgrade, the T1534 13-kilometer parallel, whatever you want to call it, the upgrade. So there you go. Not much support really from the AO or the NAO. All right. So that's could this change in coming days? Absolutely, it could change in the coming days. That doesn't mean that we won't get any snow if we have a positive AO and a positive NAO, but it means that the chances are certainly less, and that may make the rain scenario a little bit more believable out of it. So we're just going to have to see. Snow lovers, just keep your fingers crossed. All right. We do take a look at our MJO as well. I showed you this in the last long range video, and then I just show you this again to show you model confusion continues. Again, if the MJO, without going into too much detail, is just an indice that I look at to help me determine whether we're going to be in a cold phase or a warm phase. Take a look at the black line is sort of the analyzed and where we are at here. All right. So here we are currently with an MJO index. This is where we were at yesterday. And this is what the modeling does with it. Anything in this circle, by the way, is a weak. The numbers indicate phases here. Phase 7, 8, 1, and 2 are a cold phase and favor that cold air filtering in for us. But anything in the circle and it doesn't have as much of an influence on us, and it's not usually as big of an influencer on us for the winter. But notice here, as we get into the longer term here towards the Christmas time frame, you can see this green line here. This is the GFS, and the GFS takes it out firmly into a 2. And it's outside of the circle. It's going very strongly. See the black line here? This was the cold November that we had. Remember how below normal it was? Then it moved into phase 3 and 4 right at the end of November, beginning of December, into 5 and 6. And we've stayed, pretty mild for the past couple of weeks. That's where it is. We've been a strong MJO in the warm phase, but the GFS is indicating here that we could get a strong MJO in the cold phase again, which would favor a snowstorm, but not so fast because you see all these other members here. Take a look at the Canadian, actually going strongly more into the warm phase, and the Euro and some of the others here are going really just inside of the circle, which is pretty much almost no influence on us. So again, just absolutely mixed signaling in the models. So something has got to give. Eventually we'll find out what's going to go on with these systems. But here's the hunch that I have, folks. I mentioned to the 20th, and then maybe 22nd, 23rd, and then 25th, 26th. We may not know what's going to happen on the 20th until the 18th. That's the reality is. With the pattern that we are in right now, we may not understand completely a fine-tuned forecast until a couple of days before the event as to whether it's going to be even snow or rain. It's that much uncertainty in the modeling right now. It'd be nice if we could get some more certainty in there, but that's sort of the pattern that we're stuck in right now. Models just are not handling this month in the weather world very well at all. So we'll keep an eye on that. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look at your 10-day forecast, and we'll sort of sum up the video here. Clearing out tonight, a few clouds around the area, but a mostly clear sky otherwise. Down to 25 for your low, so it's much colder tonight. Tomorrow, a little bit warmer, 42. Partly sunny day, not too bad. A few clouds, fair amount of sunshine. Up to 46 on Saturday, but we get a mostly cloudy sky. 49 on Sunday. That's not going to be bad, but it's going to be a mostly cloudy sky. Slight chance of rain moves in on Sunday night, and then there's those better chances of rain for Monday and Tuesday as we go into the upper and mid 40s respectively. Then by the time you get past that, that's where the question mark comes in, and it looks like winter tries to make a comeback. I've went with a blend of modeling. Again, by the time you get to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the Euro model and the GFS completely at odds with each other. The GFS would bring us into the 40s. The Euro would bring us into the low 30s. So I've sort of went with a mix between the two, understanding that a big system is going to be in the area, and we're going to stay pretty much cloudy through that time period. I think upper 30s is at least reasonable to be conservative at this point, and we'll sort of go from there. And what I'm doing is just saying cloudy with a chance of rain or snow on that Friday night and Saturday, and we will leave it at there. It's all possible and on the table right now. We don't know exactly what's going to be, folks, but hopefully by the time later into the week next week, we'll be able to get you some more details fine-tuned about that. But the potential is there, folks, so snow lovers, keep your fingers crossed, and at least we are entering a active weather pattern as we get closer towards the end of December again, and that will at least give us some chances of some things back into the forecast. All right, folks, that is it for this video update. Thanks for watching our latest long-range update for December the 11th. It is Thursday, folks. I'll have another one of these out on Monday evening for you. Until then, I'm meteorologist Michael Wilhite for Southern Indiana Weather. Have a great night, and we will see you next time. Keep it tuned to our Facebook page for more updates.